Alicia's work well, but I will pretend that I know less than I do. So we will make this conversation interesting for all of you who might not know Alicia's work. So first question, maybe we'll start with this exhibition, which is very special because there are about 40% of works were not ever shown elsewhere. Like it's a premiere of this smaller drawings, the series of drawings, also the ceramics is shown here for the first time. So this is very special for me and for Alicja. So the title of the exhibition comes from this particular piece that you are sitting on. It's totally for this purpose. You can sit on it. It's the place for rolling and unrolling the time. So maybe you can say more about how you understand time on different levels, on material level, on more abstract level, experiential level. How do you understand time in this particular exhibition?
My works are, in my opinion, they're full of different layers and folds. And some of them might not be obvious from the first sight. Some layers you can feel in a more sensual or unconscious way. But time is one of the layer that is important for me as an inspiration, and this inspiration comes from my memories, from the memories that are connected with everyday gestures and everyday moments. So let's call it small memories, but let's not underestimate them. And the layers of time are also present here in this particular exhibition in the space, because we are here in the former living space of the former residents of this house. And I'm extremely happy that this exhibition can unfold, because this exhibition also in a way unfolds while you move through the rooms. Unfolds in the relation to the space. And because the space consists of several rooms, you can walk around and you can find different points of perspective. So it's also the time of you moving through the space is also important, because you can find different points. And the time is important because you can sit on one of the three objects that are meant for exactly sitting and taking time. The time is also present in the works in which I use different media like ceramic, textile, and textiles are hand dyed by me with natural plant dyers, and drawings. And then each of this technique or medium requires different amount of time to create it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Of course, there's a lot to say more, but we are like, we want to make it interesting for you, so we want to delve in deeper maybe. But you mentioned already, and it is super important also for me as a curator, that the visitors are making the space alive. They are the essential part of the work, and we worked before on an exhibition in Muzeum Sztuki in Łódź that we also chose Alicja's works and the works from the collection, and what was super important for us was the, we may say, choreography of the movement of the viewers, and how we can maybe suggest slowing down a bit by picking those works, not another works, and those kind of settings, not different settings. So maybe you can tell us more about this presence of the viewer and how it is important, and how the movement as well is important for you. Movement of sight, of seeing the works, and how also the body of the viewer is super important for your works and for the exhibitions.
I create works for them to be seen. And then I create exhibitions in the way that works are in a dialogue with themselves, with the space, and with the viewers. And the viewers are for me important, because then everything happens, and then the work can start to actually live, because they are, especially sculptures, objects, they can be seen from different angles, different dimensions, different perspectives, and depending how we move in the space. And that's for me really important, because then we are becoming aware of our presence, and we can start to be aware of our senses, of our dimensions, and then I think the magic for me happens, because the work starts to live, and we are gaining something from them. And then in this particular space, there are several motifs that also, on a visual way, also talk about the movement. And there are specific shapes that you can notice while seeing different works around. And these are lines that follow curves, the round shapes that also are drawn on the drawings with the particular movement in mind. And the movement is also visible in the textiles, in the way they are formed, draped. And then when you move your, when you look between, and if you move between the textile and the ceramic, you can also see that there is a relation between them, and it's a relation that's about how works are made, and then that requires movement as well. So I hope you can also follow my gestures of making works, and that also can kind of, you can maybe embody it in a way. So I believe that it's in a dialogue, but this dialogue, I think, has to be about movement.
Yeah, especially those, when you move around, even now they move a bit, so they are really delicate materials. So it's really, this exhibition and Alicja's work invite us to kind of, as I said, maybe slow down and kind of have this subtle reflections and subtle experiences, like noticing this subtle shifts of perspectives of our gaze, how it moves, how it is embodied in our whole body. That is super important, that we are not perceiving art, experiencing art only through our gaze and our brain. It's not only intellect, but intellect as a brain is embodied in the whole body. So in a way, we sometimes, using social media and being online a lot, we forget about like how we are here now with our whole experience and all of the senses. So I think that this space invites us to kind of tune in a bit more, and it's an invitation also for you to move around and perceive art in a different setting. Especially this drawing, you might not know Alicja's work, but for me it was a revolution in a way, in how it literally invites the viewer, how it's like how it sets in a way like everyday life stage for the viewer. That for me is also super important, how Alicja's work is kind of making the everyday experience important, valid, and how she kind of transforms it into something special, how she shifts the everyday objects and materials into something that is not related maybe to particular stories, for example, in her life, or but can evoke our memories and our kind of sensations. I think that is also important. Is it? Almost about time. But
are there any questions maybe
yeah.
from the audience?
Hi. You mentioned the history of the building as a living room. Did you and you mentioned also that you show things that you never showed before. Did you prepare something in advance which especially refers to the building, its history, or the rooms here?
The work that I prepared and the exhibition is prepared especially for the space. So actually to tell like a kind of a backstage details, in the way I work, I always make a maquette of the space, a three-dimensional real model, so not a virtual model, and it helps me to think about the space. So the works are not in the direct relation to the history of the place or people who lived here, but in a relation to this space as a former domestic space. So in that sense, the relation between the windows and the textiles that are suggesting curtains and as objects, or these objects that are suggesting or referring to furniture, and they are also like small objects, that ceramic objects that are placed in those two elements of the interior that I don't know the name, and they are especially important for me because in those two works I go in a direct relation with the place, and they are about small gestures, and the titles of them are
Strings of Memory.
yeah, sometimes I don't remember the titles of my own works, so I need some help.
But also in English, in German, we worked in German.
So the titles of those two works, it's is this Strings of Memories, and this is also the string and the line is something that moves around through the whole space, but memory is also something that is connected with the space and with us. So the way I work, it's usually transforming or the feeling of the place or the context into a set of works that are talking with shapes, colors, and materials. We can say in a poetic way.
Well, I have a question regarding the concept that you have about time. So my question is there any correlation to quantum theory? So is there any kind of association of the works that you created with, let's say, these multiple timelines entangling between each other, or anything like that?
I'm sure there is. I'm not the specialist in quantum physics, but like as far as I know, what I do, so art and how it moves through times and materials and spaces, I'm sure there is a connection.
I'm very interested on the the story behind the scene, because when you told us that you create a maquette, like this model, when you design all these, what was the main source of your inspiration, and how did it look like your day-to-day creative process building all these art pieces?
Of course, all the work that you see, they are coming from the previous work, so it's always a line of works that were before, and I continue with subjects and materials that are interesting for me, and I see if this particular space or invitation to make an exhibition is an inspiration to dip more into what interests me. So in that sense, I visited this space in February this year, and what was striking for me was the size of the room, that it's quite intimate, the natural light, and the going back to the movement, the possibility to move around in a circle in different directions. I was following these sensations that I got from this space, and the works here are from last 2 years, and the works also that I created thinking about this exhibition, especially the ceramic works I made especially for this exhibition. And I think they connect something what is important. So a gesture, form that it's frozen in time. Actually, not frozen because you fire it, so fired in time. Because the fire or the heat is something that makes the clay a solid shape. I don't know if I answered your question, because it was a big question.
Inspiration, so
yeah.
Tell us your inspiration.
So the main inspiration is everyday life that I observe, my memories, and then as I said before, I think it's always about transforming. So and I use something that I called soft abstraction, because I think that simple abstract forms, geometrical forms, is something that helps me to decide about forms. But then I like to think about the geometrical forms as something that you can form and in a soft way. So that's what I do. So I curve the things, and I transform things, and in the way I can move from the directness of, for example, everyday objects into objects that are carrying some kind of poetics.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.